Good morning, world. Welcome to Awaken with Meria Monnica, with myself and Monica Sepulveda. If you're not familiar with Monica, get over to monica.com. That's Monica with two N's. There's a live link right here. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and a lot of people will be celebrating Thanksgiving. And it's a good time to talk about gratitude and what are people thankful for. So we're going to talk about that, but I did have a question from one of my listeners that is pretty interesting, so I thought Monica and I would kick it around. So good morning, Monica.
Good morning, Maria.
How you doing?
I'm doing really well.
Oh, good. I'm just trying to get through this retrograde, but...
Oh, you know what? In my mind, it doesn't exist when you're surrounded in this power of the white light of protection, pink light of love, and when you're connected directly to source and love, none of that can affect you.
Well, somebody tell that to APS.
Well, I mean, you're going to have stuff, but the thing about it is that it's the way we react to it that matters.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Without question. Anyway, speaking of questions, I got an interesting question that's off topic, but I thought it was interesting enough to talk about.
Okay.
One of our listeners is confused. She says, she's trying to understand being multidimensional. But then she thinks about how, I guess other people have taught, moving from the fourth to the fifth dimension, or one dimension worse than the other. How do you know which dimension is right?
Easy.
I wanted your take on it because I have a different view of becoming multidimensional.
Yeah. Well, we're already multidimensional as it is, but this planet has moved out of the fifth dimension. It's even higher. So the thing about it is, when you know that you're in sync, like Tesla said, we vibrate at the exact same frequency as the universe is, the planet Earth itself, the brain. And, when our lives are not vibing or we're going through a lot of difficulty things, that means that we're carrying too much density, which means a low frequency. So what we have to do is we have to get rid of and just release all the emotions. And emotions are really from the past. They're not from the now. And when we have anxiety, we're, again, living in the future. So the key is to get centered every day, which means what? We need to either meditate or pray or do some type of thing in the morning in order to set the tone for the day. And what I do is I connect my heart to source. What is the source? The source is love. Some people call it God. Some people call it higher power, the I am. The universe, whatever, it doesn't care. It's love. So you connect your heart to love, and that's the best way to start your day. And then with respect to moving into a higher frequency, what happens, like I heard a long time ago, 1983, Terry Cole Whitaker said, love brings up anything unlike itself to be healed. So when you're filling yourself with love and connecting to source, guess what it's going to push up? It's just like taking an enema, and the next thing you know, you're sitting in the toilet getting rid of toxins. So it's going to push up all the negative stuff, negative shit from the past, so that we can let it go. And most people misinterpret that, saying, oh, no, why am I feeling, worried? Why am I fearing? Why am I so scared? It's the stuff that's coming out that you need to let it go, so therefore it's an opportunity. It's not a bad thing, and don't psychoanalyze it. Like I always say, when you go to the bathroom, do you psychoanalyze and your poop? No, you don't.
Right.
You leave it, you flush the toilet and move on. So what you do is acknowledge the emotions that are coming up and say, thank you for coming up. I know that you want to leave, and so I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to send love to you so that I don't send out negative energy to the planet, and then I'm going to send you on a task. I'd like you to go to all the hospitals and start healing people that are sick. Go to the animal hospitals and start working on pets that are either ready to transition or that they need to be helped with healing. And so they say, okay, I can almost turn them into little people and talk to them. And when you do that process, it works every single time. But the key is don't react to what's happening to you. Understand that it's an opportunity in disguise of a painful feeling. That's all it is. It's data.
Right.
It's data. So the way you raise your vibration is to get rid of things from the past. And believe me, there's a genesis for every emotion that we have that's negative. When you start to really look at it, you can go back to say, where was the first time I felt this? Oh, my gosh, I was only 2 years old when I felt this. Okay, I have memory. The memories start coming back, especially if you write down what's going on in your mind. You immediately start making connections to the past. And was there a time before that? Was there a time before that? And all of a sudden, you start seeing that this has been accumulated stuff that's been repressed. And when we repress stuff, we attract negative things. Because like Einstein said, if you want something, raise your vibratorial frequency to match it exactly, and it shall be yours. There can be no other way. Life is energy, and that's all there is to it. This is not philosophy. This is physics.
Mm-hmm.
Data. data. It's just data. It's energy. So if our energy is down, we're feeling low, and we're emotionally blocked, and we're not having good days, that means that we're not releasing the stuff from the past. We keep, like, diagnosing it and wondering why it's coming up. It's coming up so we can let it go. That's why.
Right, right. Well, when people talk to me about becoming multidimensional, as a Reiki master, I know that Reiki, just getting your Reiki attunements, will start to raise your vibration where you will become multidimensional. But to me, multidimensional is being able to cross dimensions while you're still here. Being able to see the things that occupy the space between things.
Well, I believe that, and I believe that it's from the brain. You're using more of the brain in order to access higher frequency, which is what allows me to communicate with people who've passed away, communicate with extraterrestrials, and they're up in the 7th and 8th dimensions, and I'm able to tap those. But in order to do that, you have to release a lot of old stuff. Otherwise, if you're dense and you're trying to, if there's a lot of density and you're trying to connect to those higher frequencies, you can't because you're vibrating too low. So the key is step number 1, get rid of those emotions, thank them for coming up, send them full of love and give them a mission. And it makes something negative turn positive. Right. The people are stuck and blocked emotionally. That is really the number 1 issue.
I agree. So, I had one of my young students here a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me that he's starting to become vegetarian, and he's noticing a difference in his ability to see.
Yeah.
And I have explained to people so many times, especially with the excellent work by Dr. Will Tuttle in his book, The World Peace Diet, that the American diet is designed to keep you locked into this reality.
Yes, in fact, that's true. So the chemtrails too, and fluorescent lighting, and there's a lot. I mean, those remember those light bulbs that were like circular? They look like circles. Yeah, I mean, it tells you on there, if it breaks, get out of your house. Hello, exactly. There's mercury in them.
I know, I won't buy any of them.
Oh, hell no, get incandescent lighting. You can get them on Amazon.
Right,
okay.
Right. But I tell them, carrying around the dead carcass of animals inside your body shuts down your third eye. And it locks you into this dimension, into this false reality.
And it deprives us 60% of our oxygen, and our cells need oxygen in order to thrive.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will tell you, and I didn't expect to talk about this, but I guess I should today. When you mentioned the chemtrails, I will tell you for the past 2 years, I have gone to all kinds of doctors who have told me that I'm suffering allergies, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything they've given me has made the situation worse. One thing they put me on ended up giving me vertigo. So I went to see an ENT who said this was caused by the medication. And these are not allergies. This is like, I don't know what they call it, rhinitis or something like that.
Uh-huh.
I've talked to my regular MD, and I have talked to all of them, by the way, about this is what they're spraying in the air. Okay. The only doctor that asked me what are they spraying was the ENT, eye, nose, and throat guy, who unfortunately has retired. So yesterday, because I'm not going to quit, because I want to prove the point, I went to an allergist, a specialist, and I let them test me for, all the environmental allergies. Mm-hmm. At the end of all that, he told me basically, you're not allergic to any of it. So now, just to be careful, just to be sure, he wants me to get some blood work for food allergies, okay? Which I'll get done. But for me, one of my friends says to me, you only go to doctors to prove them wrong. I says, no, I'm going to say that this is not allergies, that I know that it's when they're spraying that I get these reactions. It's never any other day. So for me, I'm the guinea pig. I'm happy to just keep going until I find out, what I don't have. Do you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you can prove something by eliminating what they say it is. And I've always been the guinea pig. I've never told my listeners to do a damn thing that I myself am not willing to do.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree with that. Yes, exactly. Exactly. One of the things I got to tell you, I had asthma for a lot of years because I had a bad relationship with my dad, and he was a smoker. And when you have any kind of problems with bronchioles and stuff, it's usually fear of the father. And so once I forgave my dad and he passed away, we have a great relationship now, my asthma went away. So it's linked to relationships. And I went to see my doctor 2 days ago to get injections on my upper back because I have chronic pain for 11 months. And so she says, so this is the first time I've seen her. I love her. And I said, she said to me, she goes, what's going on in your life that's giving you this upper back pain? I said, I feel like I'm carrying the weight of the world. She goes, bingo.
Right.
You have to put yourself first. And she said, you're not doing that. You're there for your clients. You have to learn to say no. You're more of a workaholic. And she says, you're not a machine. I said, yeah, I know. And I'm the one that preaches we're not human doings, we're human beings.
Right. Well, busted. Well, there's always a spiritual cause to whatever our bodies are telling us.
Yeah,
and it reminds me of that,
Mind-Body Connection.
Right.
John Sarno wrote a great book called Mind and Body Connection, and he said even if you just start writing down whatever's bothering you, he said the pain is going to go away because it's being trapped there. Whatever those thoughts that you're having, it's being trapped in the muscular area, and this is why you tighten up, and then that pinches nerves.
Right.
And, yeah, it's like, unbelievable. But I got my Botox injections on my back and lidocaine, and, boy, it does really help because having chronic back pain for 11 months where you feel like your skin's being ripped out from the inside out is literally torture. So they finally addressed it.
Well, I will tell you this. I was very fortunate to find a naturopathic physician in my own town. And I went for some stem cell treatment because I only want natural stuff injected in my body.
Yeah. You told me about the stem cell. Yeah, how's it going?
And I'll tell you what, the shoulder is 98% better.
Wow.
If I get a little wince,
yeah,
I mean, if I get a little wince in it, it's just like a little reminder that it was there. Mm-hmm. And, for my, because I get a lot of muscular tightness in my upper back, you may ask around also. There's a product called Serapin, which is all natural, comes from a tree, and it takes the place of cortisone, and it works. So, my doctors know I'm not taking anything that's not natural. Mm-hmm. So I was happy that this allergist basically said there's really nothing there to worry about.
I think you're going to be proud of me, Maria, because this weekend my friend Margaret came over, and I grew a couple of pot plants, and what we did for 2 days is cook the pot with essential oils, which are super expensive, and other herbs in coconut oil. We cooked it for 24 hours. Then we made salve by adding beeswax and shea butter and poured it in jars, and then we split it. I got 12 and she got 12.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's a topical, salve.
Right. I mean, I can buy that. I buy that in the dispensaries here. I have my medical card, and I'll tell you what, they have separate creams for neuropathy. They have it for muscle pain. I mean, and the stuff works. Yesterday, I actually saw in a dispensary, they now have it in a roll-on form. So wherever your pain is, you can just carry a little roll-on form with you.
Well, it's a lot of fun making it. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun, and it was just, we added some silver water to it, which is a healer.
Right.
And we just had the best time doing this and cooking. I felt like, like down in a laboratory.
Well, because you're taking an active part in your own healing. Years ago, before you could buy it ready-made, the only way to use Essiac, which I've used many times in my life, was you had to make it yourself.
Yeah.
And it was basically, as Sun Bear called it, a $5 a month cure for cancer. And
Wow.
I had to go find the right pots. I had to find the right brown glass bottles. I had to find the 4 herbs that you have to mix. And it was a process, but I felt like I was stirring a cauldron. And then you make so much of it, you had enough for like 6 months once you made a batch. I mean, today anybody can buy it. You can go to Essiac-Canada.com. Mm-hmm. But I buy it now actually in vitamin form on Amazon. It's called Ojibwa Healing Formula, which I'm currently using right now as a detox. So, that's helped me more with the supposed allergies, and I told that to the doctor yesterday, than, any over-the-counter crap.
I gave my brother a lot of the buds and the pot, and he actually made a concoction that he found on YouTube where you use butter and then you throw in cookie dough, and then you cook the cookies, and what he does is he eats a cookie at night and it knocks him right out. So he got off of Ambien.
That's great. Well, they sell all that stuff ready-made. They even have infused ice cream, tea, honey, everything you could think of in dispensaries here, which I'm sure you have where you are.
But they're pretty expensive out here, Maria. So when
listen, if you could grow your own plants, we have many strict laws here about where you can, where you have to live 25 miles from a dispensary to grow your own plants, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's probably the best way to do it, is if you could do it on your own.
Yeah, you just plant the seeds in March. You just water them and watch them grow. And mine was a male plant, so it doesn't have seeds. But if you get the female plant, it does have seeds, and you can just replant those seeds.
Right.
I learned a lot, and I don't even smoke pot.
Well, you don't have to smoke it, but anybody listening, if you are smoking pot, even for recreation, you're still getting health benefits from it.
Exactly.
Years ago, I had Dr. Jean Shinola Bolin on the show. I don't know if you're familiar with her work.
I'm not.
But I was fortunate enough to meet her. She's fabulous. I was fortunate enough to meet and work with her when I was in Tuscany years ago. And when I had her on the show, I hope I still have her in the archives on site if people want to listen to her. She said the number one reason that pot is illegal in this country is because they don't want people opening their third eye.
Of course. And that's exactly what happens.
Exactly. So, and it was funny because there was a kid behind the counter yesterday when I went into the dispensary. He was about 20. And he was very aware of that. He was like, you people meaning us seniors, I want to thank you for setting the way for us and this and that. And he told me he was bipolar and the only thing that works for him is pot.
That's correct. My nephew has it too, and the only thing that works for him is pot.
Right. So he also knew, he said, well, face it, the government wants to keep it illegal because they don't want us thinking. And pot makes you think actually in another dimension. We can get back to being multidimensional.
Yes, exactly. Now remember, please, listeners, no matter what's going on, I mean, here we're having horrendous fires. People have a lot of losses. They need lots of prayers. People are stepping up and helping them. But my God, one city being burnt down in 8 hours, Paradise, California, I have a friend there. It's devastating. So number one, what's going to help you? Pray for others. If you're not religious, meditate for others. If you're not spiritualist, send good energy, positive, loving energy to those areas. So there's 3 ways you can do it. Secondarily, when you have, things going on in your life, I never, ever pray and to ask for things. The only time I do that is when I do the St. Jude candle. St. Jude candle is considered the miracle worker, and I've been doing this for years. It does work, but you have to be in alignment with what's happening. You can't contradict it by talking about scarcity or, you have to completely trust and let go of your own opinion. So what I found that works, because I do this every single morning, I connect my heart to the source of love. Then I don't ask for anything. I give thanks before it even shows up. When you give thanks, this is truly what Thanksgiving is. It's not about one day, eating a poor turkey that's been slaughtered. What you do is you give thanks every single day. I mention my family, my pets, my home, my car, new people, my clients, everyone, all the saints. Because remember, I grew up in a Catholic background, so I still give thanks to St. Michael, St. Jude, St. Francis, St. Anthony, St. Christopher, St. Gabriel. Gabriel is the one that gives me information, to the extraterrestrials that I communicate with. But one of the things they told me is that they can't interfere too much in our ascension, because the vibrations that they have are so powerful it would blow out our brain. So they have to give it to us. They have to dole it to us little at a time. So we have to be patient with that.
Right. Well, I do kind of do the same thing with my Reiki, and I do that nightly.
Yeah.
And I send it out. But, even with those horrible fires in California, yes, of course, I think as of this morning, they said 81 people are dead. And still over 800 missing. Not only did I send Reiki to that, I send it to the energy of the fire. If the fire, listen, I understand fire is a living thing and has a right to exist, but at a certain point I have to question that and say, okay, if you've had enough, can you please stop?
Well,
but I also send it to the animals, to the Diva Kingdom, to the plants that are losing their lives.
Well, what's happening now is that we're finding out, and there's a lot of videos supporting this, that this is all being triggered by lasers, blue lasers coming from the sky, red lasers coming from, 5G?
Well, yeah, depleted. They use those directed energy weapons like they used on 9/11 at the Twin Towers.
Yes, exactly. And so there's a lot of videos now on YouTube. I was looking at our friend's website today, David Icke, and he has a whole article on it and shows videos. It's like there's a war on California. You know how
Oh yeah, I
Orange Face from the White House.
I
Orange
totally
Face from the
agree.
White House comes here on Sunday. Doesn't even pronounce the name of the city, right? He did that intentionally.
I know he
I
called it
saw it,
pleasure.
Gavin Newsom and Jerry Brown were walking with him. I couldn't believe. It's like they're probably rolling their eyes because he's such an idiot. You know, so his days are numbered, though, so people don't worry about him.
Well,
Okay?
that's another thing I do, and it's really difficult, but I do it. And listen, everybody, it's your choice. I always send that energy to the evil people to turn around, to actually change their ways. It's very hard to do
Yeah.
when you're a human being, and you know how you want to react from the human side of you. But
Well, you know, I learned from my teacher back in 1970. She said, you know, if there's someone who's evil, send energy to their spirit, which is pure. It's their personality that's pretty fucked up. And they're making decisions from their personality and their emotional state and any kind of mental disorders that they have. And they've all been really mentally ill. So you talk to their spirit, which is pure and pure love, but they are incarnated into a damaged physical body. So if you want to bypass that and have neutral feelings, talk to their spirit. And I think that's a good idea.
right, I do it. It's hard, but I do it. It's like, please just lessen my workload. I'll appreciate it. You know, when you look at Thanksgiving, listen, I've always been conflicted on Thanksgiving. And then the more I learned, and the more I learned real history, and after speaking with Matthew Deleuze out of the UK, who wrote about reptilian connections to a lot of our holidays, I had decided to give it up, and I got my family to agree with me. So for us, it's been at least a dozen years or so that I don't participate, which I'm glad, because this morning I had to throw out 2 bags of romaine lettuce because now there's a recall on that for E. coli. The turkeys are being recalled around the country. So I'm like, okay, good reason. But when I used to do Thanksgiving with my family, the one thing I would do, which annoyed them, but now I see my children do it with their children, is when you're sitting around the table, I would always ask, what are you thankful for? You know, and sometimes that stumps people. You know, and I can understand some people say it doesn't have to be a celebration of what happened with the Native Americans and their slaughterers. It could just be a day of thanks. But I always remember what my father used to say. You got to be thankful every day.
Every day.
You know, he couldn't
Every
get
day
him.
before you even receive it, you have to be thankful before you even receive it. That's the magic part of it, you know. The only thing that's troubling me right now are those children still being held in ICE custody.
14,000.
Separated from their families. I don't know why that's not making the news anymore.
Well, it makes the news on my show. As of the last news show, I still said there's over 14,000 children incarcerated in these immigration camps.
Oh, this is where I look at Trump and Stephen Miller and I just like, go to fucking hell, you know?
Yeah, but then you can't. You got to say, please let them turn around. Let them change your evil ways. But I know the feeling. Listen, I'm Italian. I'm from Brooklyn. I mean, my fire is up as soon as I look at the news, and then I have to calm myself down.
Well, I'm Mexican. My mother's from Mexico.
So you
So
understand.
these are my people that are being targeted.
Right. Well, you know, here in Arizona, I could tell you what, a couple of years back, they did an illegal stripping of all the Mexicans in my town in Payson, Arizona.
Oh, geez.
Within 1 month, 3 restaurants went out of business and 2 contractors went out of business. And now today, all these, because they lost all their employees. Now today, it's impossible to get any kind of repairman, handyman, landscaper, anything to show up in this town. I mean, I fell into a handyman by mistake, by coincidence, at the post office because I saw his truck. And I said, listen, I have something I need done and I can't get anybody to do it. And he said, well, look, the first day I have, and this was last week, Monica, I can come by on December 4th.
Wow.
So, you know, in the state of Arizona, they shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you look at the farmers, you know, they've got 94% of their soybeans rotting now and they're in a panic. Okay? We have
Well,
fruit.
I live in the salad bowl, that's what it's called here because we grow everything, vegetables and fruit and stuff, which is fantastic. And the people that work here are mostly from Mexico, and a lot of them are legal. They got in here legally, and you don't find very many that are illegal, so they're staying and they're working. They're doing all the shitty jobs that nobody else wants to do.
All right.
These people are bent over every single day picking things that they're the greatest customers for chiropractors.
And they're happy while they work. They whistle while they work. Here in Arizona, they whistle while they work in 120 degrees. I've never seen anything like it, you know.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
you know,
that's
all this hate, all this racism, all this crap has to stop. And I keep reminding people, listen, the dark side is really on its last legs. And they know it.
Yeah, it's a battle right now. And look at these people that are whistling. That's called gratitude.
Right.
Learn.
Right.
Be grateful for what you have, and then it expands.
Exactly. And they're happy to have the work. You know, it's funny. I was just having that conversation with a friend yesterday who said that they found out that people that do physical labor, the shittiest jobs that nobody wants to do, are the happiest.
Yeah.
And when he was explaining that to me, I guess he read some article about it. I said, well, think about it. They don't have to go to a gym to get their endorphins flowing. Their body is in physical motion all day long, which is a natural high. It's a natural flow of endorphins. Mm-hmm. But we've become so lazy and spoiled by our lifestyles that it's affecting our health. Mm-hmm. You know, but, you know, a lot of people won't make that connection. And, you know, I mean, I can't say I'm going out digging ditches because I'm not. But the American lifestyle is the killer.
In my counseling, too, I've noticed, Meria, that a lot of people are doing the poor me. Oh, look what's happening to me. You know, it's like, okay, it's not happening to you. It's happening for you. You know, make the connection. When there's something happening on the outside, it's triggering. That's the beautiful part of this earth, is it tells us data that shows us where we need to make changes from the inside, because we are co-creators after all. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's happening for us. So look at it as data. Don't take it personally. Just make some changes on the inside, and your external world is going to change, because the reality is inside. The manifestation of the reality is on the outside. But if you don't like what it's manifesting, then you got to change it on the inside. That's how it starts. It's not seeing as believing. It's believing as seeing.
Exactly. When you believe it, you'll see it.
Right. It starts from the inside, and that's what Einstein was talking about. You know, I'm a big fan of Einstein and Nikola Tesla, by the way.
Oh, I couldn't tell. So am I. How could anybody not be? You know, I want to get back to, you know, as a teacher of the medicine wheel for so many years, which is really the thing I love doing the best. Mm-hmm. You know, I taught people how to work with different phases of the moon as far as gratitude. You know, there are different moon phases where you can ask for things, and then there are different moon phases where you could be thankful for things.
Ooh, tell. I need to know.
I thought we'd take a short break, and when we come back, I will tell. So stay with us. Monica and I will be right back.